Hey y'all, hey, so y'all know, I guess it's been a little bit since I've done a Nicki Minaj video. You know, I tell y'all yearly I have to come on here and go off about this pink lady. You know, I went back and I watched like my last couple of videos talking about Nicki, and it's wild how nothing changes. So it's like people like will hit me up asking me to talk about it, but it's like it's not nothing new for me to say. Everything I've said about Nicki since my very first video on YouTube outside the Millennium Tour was about Nicki, because I could not stand the course I was seeing my sis go on. And where we are now is what the title of this video is. Nicki Minaj is now the old bitter bitch. It's really just that simple. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Mind you, you talking to a bitch that just paid like damn near front row seats for the Pink Friday 2 tour from my sister and my cousin. I just paid for them to go see this bitch. So I feel like I can still talk shit because, bitch, I just put money in your pocket the other fucking day. So it's just like, I don't even know. Like, y'all know obviously that Nicki has been crashing out on Twitter for like the last 4 or 5 days, almost 6 days. I bet you if I refreshed, she would still be going off. It started out about she finally had the balls to say Jay-Z's name. If you guys look at my other videos, I've been saying forever that you keep saying that your problem is not really with Megan, and it's clear that your problem is with Jay-Z and Roc Nation, but for whatever reason, you was not saying that, and you're using Meg as a conduit. So to be quite honest, when I did see that she finally said Jay-Z's name, I'm like, well, thank God. Thank you, goodness, because I was so tired of us sitting up here for years trying to make it seem like Meg is really your problem when your real issue is with Jay-Z and it's with Roc Nation. Now, I don't really care about whether I agree or not agree, but my thing is, take up your issue with who the real person is, right? So cool. From that standpoint, I'm like, okay, at least she's actually saying names, right? But then it's like it went from there, and like for the last, no lie, 5 days and some change, Nicki has been going the fuck off, ranting and raving about Jay-Z, Roc Nation, some about Desiree, somebody who was on Roc Nation. And it's just like, girl, this is my whole thing. This is my thing. If you wanted to just keep this between you and your barbs, right, and you only really give a fuck that the barbs hear you and understand you, that's one thing. But it is an obvious effort, a concerted effort to try to get the general public to kind of be on your side when it comes to whatever the hell you got going on with Jay-Z. Let me start off with a couple things. Number one, there is going to be a faction of niggas and people that will never turn their back on Jay-Z because they're, as we like to call them on the internet, Hovengers. So it don't matter what you say about this nigga, what he did, what he didn't do. There's a certain section of people, whether they believe you or not, will never turn their back on Jay-Z because he's Jay-Z. The same way that your barbs, Nicki could stand in the middle of 42nd Street and beat the shit out of a child, and the barbs would say, or a child, and the barbs would say, well, the kid deserved it. Somebody should have got their kid, right? Just like there's people like that. So there's that section, right? Then you have another section of people, and to me, this is a good majority of people, especially a lot of black people. A lot of us are very aware of the fact that Jay-Z is trash in a lot of ways. I don't know why. It's like when I'm reading her tweets, it's like she's trying to say like, oh, none of y'all talk about the general public, and those, and I don't know, other organizations don't want to say anything because, oh, y'all hold Jay-Z up so high and y'all think he's this and y'all think he's that. Actually, if you've been as much as your ass being on Twitter and online, you should know this. Ever since the whole Barclays situation, and specifically since the whole taking over of the NFL situation, a lot of black people don't look at Jay-Z in that way. Now, we respect him for his business acumen. We respect the fact, you know, of the path that he paved and his music abilities and his longevity and all that. But a lot of us are very clear on the fact that Jay, especially when it comes to like black people, he ain't all that in tune. The whole capitalist comment. So it's like, no, it's not that far of a jump for people to believe that Jay-Z or Roc Nation or whoever may have messed up some shit for you contract-wise, you know, during the whole title thing. That's not really what's hard to believe. What we as the public want to know is, what the fuck do you want us to do about it? That is the question. I'm not talking about the barbs. I'm talking about from the general public that even gives a fuck to pay attention. Because the real clear answer is most of us don't give a fuck. I personally didn't even care after a while to keep going down the rabbit hole to see what she was mad about. Even with the whole SZA thing, somebody was like, oh, she's mad because of what Punch said about the broken Barbies thing. And then she retweeted and said, if you think that's what I'm mad about, then you're crazy. So it's like, what are you mad about? So me and the majority of the general public don't even care to really go down the rabbit hole to figure out what you're really mad about. But my thing is, let's just say all of that is true. What do you want us to do about it? And somebody tweeted her and said, why don't you just go and sue? Like you're tweeting about somebody owing you millions of dollars, but you don't want to sue. And then she retweeted saying, maybe I won't sue because I just don't feel like it, and I can do whatever the fuck I want to do, and I can talk. You absolutely right. But stop expecting the rest of us to give a fuck. And it's clear that she wants the general public to give a fuck, because the way that her tweets is phrased is like, but what about when he did this? And what about when he did that? Oh, was that y'all big bro then? Was that the big black billionaire then? We don't care, Nicholas. Figure out how to fix your shit with Rock Nation, but leave the rest of us out of it. We don't care. And not only do we not care, there's nothing that we can do about it, hun. You want all of us to pitchfork and go down to Rock Nation and give Nicki her money. That's what the barbs are for. I don't understand. Why don't you just rile up your own fan base to take their asses down to Rock Nation and to protest and to ask for them to pick up your phone call to give you your money? Why is you coming to us as the public, the general public, and asking us? We don't care, nor do we give a fuck. Nicki, what did they say to Kim? Nicki, people are dying. People are dying. You are complaining. Like, on one hand, right, you're saying and complaining about the fact that you are owed $100 to $200 million, which that number is falsehood. I don't give a fuck what she said. That number is a falsehood. $100 to $200 million. But then you're also saying that you're not broke and you're not worried about it. This is my whole thing. Let's read the room. Do you not know that we're in the middle of like a recession, kind of? We're in the middle of like some real fucked up shit going on. The big beautiful bill passed. Nicki, nobody is concerned about you and your fucking $100 to $200 million when niggas can barely get milk. Niggas can barely afford bread. Niggas can barely afford fucking child care. Nobody cares about your rich ass asking us to give a fuck that you're not hundreds of millions of dollars richer. Nobody gives a shit, Nicki. Nobody cares. I want you to understand. Nobody gives a fuck other than the barbs. Nobody cares. So this is my thing, like I've been saying forever. Nicki, if you want to complain, cool, but just complain and only give a fuck about what the barbs have to say. If my thing is forever, I've had Nicki muted because I was tired of seeing that bitch up and down my page. I was tired of seeing her and I was tired of the barbs. So when so for a long time, it'll be like months that go by, like maybe 7-8 months, and I'm like, oh damn, I wonder did Nicki tweet anything? I'll go over to her page and I'll see that she's been tweeting non-stop, right, going back and forth with the barbs, which I've always felt like, cool, stay in your little bubble over there with the barbs. I think if Nicki just stays in her bubble with the barbs and that's it, she'll be fine. The problem is when you take that delusional ass behavior outside of that bubble, bring it to the general public, and expect us to do the same thing that the barbs do. And that's why I feel like Nicki gets so frustrated, because the barbs gas her nonstop. And because she's in her own bubble with the barbs and they're constantly feeding her bullshit and telling her, oh, you're right, and this bitch is wrong and that person's wrong, when she hears that, she takes those ideas and those words outside of the barbs bubble, and then she says it to the general public. And then when the rest of us is saying, bitch, what are you talking about? Or bitch, we don't care. Or bitch, you sound crazy, she thinks that we're crazy, because for the past 5 to 8 months the barb's been telling her she's been right. You have to understand that there's a difference between the barbs and the general public. The barbs and the GP don't give a fuck. We don't care. And from the GP perspective, you are an old, bitter bitch. No shade. And I don't give a fuck what no barbs gotta say. That is the general public's perception of Nicki, as that she's old, she's bitter. Not even necessarily the old part, but the old and bitter goes together. Is that you're old and bitter. You're mad. You're upset that you're not where you were at one point in time. You're mad that the new girls are around. You're mad that you can't fit in. You're mad you can't get along with none of the girlies. That's the second thing, is that You don't get along with any of the girls. And now with you arguing with SZA, it just continues that narrative. That does not help. Maybe she don't. This is the thing. People could say that she don't give a fuck, but she does. Because when people always say Nicki don't get along with the girls, she gets so offended by that. So you do care what people say. I need the Barbs to stop saying that Nicki don't care. Yes, she does. That's why she constantly tries to get affirmation, reassurance from the general public, because she cares. She cares. She really does. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. She cares. She does. And the point of the matter is, again, from the general public's perception, you're not a girl's girl, and you don't know how to get along with other women. So what that leads people to believe is the reason being is because for the longest, you were the only main rap bitch. And the minute that a wave of new bitches came in, all of a sudden, this is my thing. You don't get along with any of them. The girls that Nicki get along with, quote unquote, are bitches from back in the day and girls that don't have no real relevancy. You want me to stand up because Nicki is cool with Katie Got Bands? Where the fuck was Katie Got Bands feature when Katie Got Bands was popping? Because when Katie Got Bands was really a thing, which was around the whole Chief Keef, drill, Chicago era, even during that whole thing, when Nicki hops on G Herbo, y'all know what song I'm talking about, where she kills that. That's my fucking verse too. Why wasn't Katie Got Bands on a song then? When it actually mattered. Oh, you want to put her on a Super Freaky Girl remix 10 years after she's fucking relevant. You want to put Akbar, who nobody knows or gives a fuck about outside of Love and Hip Hop. That's what we're saying. The girls that you do decide to align yourself with are either has-beens or nobody gives a fuck about them. You have yet, I'm saying from the public's perception, you have yet, outside of JT, and we saw how that go. Now you don't get along with her. You don't get along with women that are relevant and doing well. I'm not saying that's the case, Barbs. I'm saying that is the perception. Whole thing with Cardi, we saw how that went down. We saw how the whole thing with Meg went down. You was cool with JT, now you're not no more. Ice Spice was the queen, now she ain't no more. You was getting along with Cash Doll, now you don't like her no more. We didn't even know, now you don't like Doechii all of a sudden. Now somehow SZA gets thrown in there. Like, that's 7 people. That's 7 people. And this is my whole thing, right? Because I've been in therapy for a couple of years. And the biggest thing is accountability. Let's go, because I'm going to go with the Barb's delusional thinking. Let's just say that all 7 of those people absolutely wronged Nicki, right? Let's just say that in every situation with those 7 people, they was the one in the wrong and she wasn't. At what point in time does Nicki take accountability in who she decides to deal with, how she decides to deal with them, who she decides is her friends, what's the difference between friends and industry? At what point in time does she take accountability of this shit keeps happening to me over and over? So like Drake said, what did I miss? What did I miss? Where is the accountability? Even if every single one of those 7 people were actually in the wrong and did her dirty, where the fuck is her accountability in the way that she needs to move now, and the way that she needs to handle herself in business and business things? Where's that accountability at? We didn't even get what did I miss? You're just pointing and pointing and pointing and pointing and pointing and pointing and pointing. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's not helping you. Nicki Minaj is the greatest female rapper of all time. I don't know if her shit will ever be taken down or toppled. She's that bitch. But no, outside of that, that's it for the rest of us. We don't got nothing for you no more. You are literally sitting in the same box as Kanye, which is, we recognize that Kanye is a genius. We recognize everything that he's contributed. But we off that nigga. We don't care anymore. New music, don't give a shit. We're off that nigga. That's where you're going, Nicki. We're off you. You cannot continue to expect to be, within the general public's view, successful. Continue to be successful, continue to get big brand deals when you act the way that you act. Feel the way that you feel. Keep that shit to your fucking self. Throw that shit in a group chat. Make a group chat specifically with the Barbs, but leave the rest of us the fuck out of it, because we do not care. We don't care. You going back and forth with SZA, we don't give a shit. SZA's not even a rapper. SZA is not even a rapper. Let it go, Sistren. Let it go. Go be a wife to that trash ass husband. Go be a mama to Papa Bear. And stay the fuck offline. You look insane. And last thing I want to say before I get out of here is, you podcasters are bitch ass niggas. Y'all are scared of her. Y'all are scared of the barbs. And y'all are scared of backlash from y'all telling the truth. So that's why Joe and them got on there laughing, saying that they not going to say what they really feel. Maul's on there fucking backpedaling and pussy popping in the fucking handstand, saying Nicki has the right to be mad at SZA because Nicki requested for SZA to do a feature and she said no. Who the fuck is Nicki that I don't have to, bitch, I got Beyonce on right now. If Beyonce asked me to do something and I said no, I don't give a fuck. Who are you to feel like I have to say yes? And that to me, that part right there to me solidifies what every other rap girl has said about Nicki to be true, which is the fact that she expects them to get on their knees and kiss her ass. I'm going off of what Ma is saying is true. If that's true that, oh, well, Nicki just feels some type of way that she didn't do a feature because I'm Nicki, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? I don't give a fuck who you are. If I say I don't want to do the feature, I don't want to do the feature. Maybe I prefer to work with Rihanna. Maybe I prefer to work with this person and not you. Just because I'm a no-name, your ego could feel hit. But for you to really, that's a sense of entitlement. That's what killed me about Ma saying that. Do you not understand the sense of entitlement that you have to be mad because somebody said no thank you? Not even in a disrespectful way, because when I read the text message, it said that SZA couldn't do it because she was busy working on her own shit. Whether it was her own shit or whoever shit, even if she ain't feel like it, the entitlement of that is crazy. And again, it just aligns with what all of the other girlies said, which is that the minute I did not kiss her ass, the minute I didn't suck her dick, then it was an issue. That's clear. And it's weird, like how we all keep talking about the fucking circle. Like, the circle of life is really a thing, because to see how it happened with Kim and Nicki to now how Nicki is pretty much Kim in the younger people's eyes, you know that you are now looked at as Little Kim. Like the way that granted, I grew up on Little Kim, but when her and Nicki started going back and forth, it did come off publicly like you were just mad that this new bitch is coming around. Now, granted, Nicki stole a lot of the shit from Nicki. A lot of stuff. So, like, I understood because you stole her aesthetic. You stole her whole blueprint, for real. Image-wise, at least. So, I understood why Kim was mad. But at the same time, Kim would always say, Nicki doesn't big me up, when she did. All the time. And it was interviews that was pulled of her bigging her up. And then when we move on to Cardi, Nicki's thing is, oh, well, she'll never big me up. And then when we're pulling receipts of Cardi saying her name again and again and again and again, she sits on Zane Lowe and say, it wasn't real love. Rewind the tape with the Little Kim interview at the Breakfast Club about Nicki. What did she say? It wasn't genuine. Same thing, bitch. The biggest difference between Kim and Nicki is that Kim held on to it for about a year and some change, and then it just was what it was. You holding on to this shit for years and years and years and years, bro, it's not a good fucking look. And I don't care what nobody says. It paints a picture when you're the only bitch that don't get along with everybody else. It can't be everybody else, hun. It cannot. You only want to surround yourself with bitches that don't do as well as you. And that's really what speaks to her fucking character for a lot of people. You only want to be surrounded by yes men. You only want to be cool with bitches that are below you. Which my thing is, if you're the queen of rap, you should feel like everybody's below you anyway. But you don't like Cardi, you don't like Meg, you don't like the success that any of these bitches have. You don't like that. And one more thing I'm gonna go before I say. I'm gonna say before I go. When it comes to SZA, right, her back and forth, I'm so tired of Nicki and the Barbs picking and choosing when numbers matter and when they don't. When it was Nicki versus Remy, it's, bitch, you can't say nothing. You ain't got no plaques. You ain't got no hits. You ain't got nothing like that. Then when it comes to Cardi, she couldn't say that. She couldn't say that Cardi don't got numbers. She couldn't say that Cardi doesn't have hits. So what's her angle? Oh, well, you don't write your own stuff. Okay. Then we go to Meg, who has the pen, and the fucking numbers. And you want to know what it is? Oh, well, you lied about getting shot and you fuck everybody. And now that it's SZA, it's, well, does this bitch think that she's more successful than me? And then when people drop the clip of how many Spotify listeners SZA has monthly versus Nicki, then she wants to repost Beyonce's monthly listeners to SZA and be like, oh, so according to y'all, this is best. Bitch, you need to stick. Either numbers matter or they don't. You and the Barbs switch back and forth when numbers matter and when they don't. Because again, when it came to Remy, then numbers should have never been brought up. It should have been strictly about the pen, but y'all didn't. When it moved on to Cardi, you went from, oh, now we don't care about the numbers. Now it's the fact she don't write her own shit. Pick a lane. Y'all move the goalpost to fit whatever y'all need to fit Nicki in. And I'm sorry, I did say that was my last thing, but this is really my last thing. As a black woman, specifically as a black woman that has supported Nicki since 2008, since I've been in middle school, I've been supporting Nicki both financially. I've went on tours, I've bought merch, I've done all the things, I've supported all of that shit. I would like to say to Nicki Minaj and to the Barbs, specifically to Nicki, it is a slap in the face. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. If it ain't no portion of this video, because I know y'all gonna try to clip this shit up. If there's no portion of this video that y'all want to get over to her, it's in this part. I want to say this. As a black woman that has supported you, Nicki, since 2008, it's a slap in the face that the only time you want to stand up for black women, for women period, for misogyny, for racism is when it affects you. When it affects the rest of us, you ain't got nothing to say. And the only fucking time you bring some shit up when it comes to racism, misogyny, xenophobia, any of that shit, when it directly affects you. Now, I'm not taking away from the fact that you help the Barbs with the education thing. You give here and you give there. But let's be very clear. When it comes to calling people out about those particular topics, you only call them out when it benefits you. And you want the rest of us to get upset. And what you're doing is you're pulling emotionally on strings by saying, oh, well, black women this and black women that and misogyny and this and that. You're trying to pull on emotional strings so that we can go to bat for you when you did not do that for us before. When it was time for you to sit in misogyny, you did. Because what the fuck did you and your husband allegedly do as far as fucking harassing his fucking victim? And we're not going to say allegedly because he was convicted of his victim. Not alleged, he was convicted. You didn't give a fuck about misogyny and all of that shit then. You didn't give a shit about bribing people and stalking people and harassing people when you were doing that to Jennifer Huff, allegedly. Didn't give a shit about that. Didn't give a shit about it when you're sending your Barbs to go and dox Kimberly Foster. When you're going and sending your Barbs to dox people like the Kingarees. Shout out to Justin J. You didn't give a shit then. It's only when it affects you. And because of that, you're fucking trash. Get off the internet, go rebrand. You need to rebrand by going behind the scenes and fixing whatever issues you got. Rebrand by changing your fucking image. Stop doing low budget shit. Why are you, Nicki Minaj, on TikTok selling press-on nails? What the fuck? What are we doing? I know that I gave Nicki hell years ago about the YSL or the Fendi collab or whatever that she did, and I kind of dragged out a little bit, but in all reality, that is where she needs to be positioned. You need to be positioned with luxury brands, not fucking press-on nails from fucking Dollar General, Nicholas. And then you wonder why people constantly say to you, you should be sitting up there with the Rihannas and the Beyonce as far as your aura and the brand around you and the luxury behind you and the air behind you. That is where you should sit. But your ass wants to cheapen your brand because that's what you're doing. Fuck the GP. You are cheapening your brand constantly when you are that bitch. Like, I want that to not be lost. This is why we're frustrated, because Nicki really is that bitch. You're the greatest female rapper of all time and probably top 20 rappers, male or female, period. And you don't carry yourself as such. That's why we're all frustrated, because we do hold you so high. It really is the Kanye thing. We hold you so high because you're so talented and you're really that bitch that it makes us sad to see you go out like this. And you get mad at us. You get mad that we hold you to a higher standard. How? How are you mad? Because we're saying you're that bitch. You're the best female rapper of all time. You are the queen of this shit. Act like it. And you get mad at us because we're saying that the bitch that we think is the best of all time should act like it. The Barbs will be the death of Nicki. I'm done, y'all. I'm done. That's it.